Disneyland threw a Bluey event expecting a bunch of kids, and it was just adults, not even adults.
Basically, adult shows and movies are substituting good writing for very strong and graphic visuals, and sometimes people don't want to see that. Okay, so I want to start off this video by saying I don't think it's okay for adults to be taking over spaces that are specifically meant for children. Like, I think kids nowadays are already growing up a little bit faster than they should, so I don't think it's okay to take over spaces meant for kids and like have one less space for where children are supposed to be or where children are invited. Okay, now I want to talk generally about adults that just like to watch kids' shows and movies. I am 18 and I really liked watching Disney and Nickelodeon growing up. My favorite shows were like Jessie and Casey Undercover. I saw the new Zootopia movie. I saw the live action Lilo and Stitch. I like the Despicable Me movies and the Hotel Transylvania movies, like all of that. And I think the main thing that's really making people uncomfortable when it comes to like grown adults that really like kids shows and movies is I once saw an episode of Law and Order. I think they were trying to catch like a child predator and they found out that he was in like a whole ring of child predators. And one of the things that they do, the predator literally said it in this episode, he said that they watch kids shows and movies so that they have something to connect with the kids on. And I think that's something that people are maybe subconsciously or even consciously worried about if you're already aware of this kind of thing. So that's an understandable fear. Like, maybe why are you as an adult watching something meant for children? Like, are you just trying to find a way to connect to them? Like, that's a valid fear. I think finding it weird or it making you uncomfortable, that's not a bad thing. I just think it's unfair to automatically assume that just because someone likes kids shows or movies that they're automatically bad or weird. Like, I don't think that's a fair assumption. Now, am I obsessed with any kids' shows or movies? No. I think being obsessed with something is already considered weird, and then on top of that, being an adult obsessed with something meant for children is just even more weird for reasons that I just described. I wanted to explain a little bit about why people might gravitate towards kids' shows and movies versus adult shows and movies. And I think adult shows are getting, especially in the last decade, I think they're getting very aggressive, and like the adult content portion of these shows are becoming very visual, like even past the point where they need to be, including everything like sexual content, inappropriate language, violence. Like a good example would be 13 Reasons Why. They did not have to show us those scenes. That was so unnecessary. I'm trying to say that I think we've become a little bit immune to the impact that watching adult shows and movies can have on a person. And sometimes you just don't want to deal with that. Like, sometimes I just want a kid's show where I don't have to worry about skipping a sexual scene or inappropriate language or violence. Like, sometimes I just don't want to have to worry about seeing that. And I think that the big problem that adult shows and movies are having, especially nowadays, is I think they have the opposite problem of books. So for books, when you're like writing a story in English class, your teacher will tell you show and not tell, right? So like describe what's happening so that the reader can see it themselves rather than just saying, this is what happened, this is what they feel, this is da da da. But shows have the opposite problem because shows and movies are very visual the entire time. So you don't really have to worry about, oh, show instead of tell. I think the problem is they're showing too much and not enough telling. Shows and movies are showing us more than they need to, and I think if the writing was where it needs to be, we would be able to understand and interpret the impact of what's happening without them having to visually show us what is happening or what they're talking about. A good example of what I'm trying to say is a scene from Degrassi. I can't remember which Degrassi, but someone made a video talking about the scene where someone is trying to off themselves and they're standing on the railing inside of a school building. So basically, this drop would not have been enough to kill them, but viewers at the time still understood the impact of what was going on without them having to actually put this person on a roof or a balcony.